Fendi for winter 24 menswear. As you guys know, because I talk about her all the time, but the artistic director of accessories and menswear collection at Fendi, menswear collections at Fendi is Silvia Venturini Fendi. She's been at Fendi forever. She's the last standing actual Fendi that works at the brand. And she's been involved in designing some of the most iconic accessories for the brand, as everyone knows, like the baguette bag, the peekaboo bag, the list goes on. A lot of the new bags too. Fendi sort of brings about every single season. Even in this season, we saw a new bag as well called the Siesta bag, which kind of looks like a pillow. And I thought that's such a good name for a bag that is shaped kind of like a pillow. I wonder what the practicality of it is. If like you just, not that you would, because if you can afford a Fendi Siesta bag, you probably have a villa everywhere in the world. You don't need to, slightly stop somewhere and rest your head on your Siesta bag and get a little nap. That's probably not, those are not the issues that you have. But yeah, I thought it was a really, really good name. And yeah, I'm just a big fan of her work. I always have been. I'm a big fan of all the accessories she designs. I really do enjoy her menswear collections. And I did enjoy the women's wear collections that she designed. And I talk about this all the time, so I won't do it again. But for guys that don't know, Silvia was the interim head of women's wear as well when Karl Lagerfeld passed. So before Kim Jones took over at Fendi, she designed a few collections in the interim, and I just thought all of those collections are really, really nice. So yeah, big fan of her work.
You love telling that story, by the way.
No, I know. That's why I was like, let me speed past it this time.
You love.
I always say how much I love those collections. It's like a broken record. It's so strange because there's new people to the channel all the time, and sometimes I feel like I answer the same questions constantly. But hey, there we go. That's the little thing for the new people in the live stream.
I love Kim Jones, so yeah, like Kim Jones could do no wrong.
Yeah, Dammy is a big fan of Kim Jones.
So yeah, no.
But yeah, do you know what's weird about Silvia though? I think that genuinely, I think that she's one of the most consistent designers in fashion, but she flies under the radar. Like we don't really talk about Silvia Venturini Fendi for the most part in fashion. I don't know why that is. Every time we're talking about, designers in the zeitgeist, we talk about the likes of Demna Gvasalia. Now we do talk about Sabato quite a bit. We talk about Adi Slimane. We talk about Phoebe Philo. Silvia is never a name. Yeah, Daniel Roseberry, Kim Jones. Silvia is not a name that really enters there, but I genuinely think she's one of the most consistent creative directors in fashion, especially with accessories. My word, she's consistent.
Yeah, her accessories have, like in this season as well, they've just been... She went ham, or they went ham. Whoever the person was.
Silvia proves some nepos are good. Yeah, I think the difference between Silvia and a lot of nepos, though, is Silvia actually took time out to learn the craft, whereas a lot of nepo kids just kind of get given like roles or get shoved into positions that they have no business being in because they're not qualified. Like if they want a nepo kid, they don't have the qualifications to do that job, but because they're a nepo kid, they do. Sylvia's a bit different to that though. Sylvia's an actual extremely skilled designer in her own right. Very different to the usual nepo kids. So yeah, Silvia does prove that nepo babies are really good sometimes. Yeah, what did you think of the collection? I think what I might do, I might read the show notes. The show notes are quite long. So I'm going to play the runway show in the background. But I think the show notes actually just tell you everything you need to know about the collection. The fact that, this collection was inspired by the greater outdoors. That's why you have a lot of, themes of, you have things like, there are a lot of wax jackets in the collection. I'm not sure how many people know why people wear wax jackets in the greater outdoors, but kind of like quick history lesson. You have these brands like Barber, that use wax jackets and are known for that. Wax jackets are actually really waterproof and windproof, but they're yet breathable and light. So those are the properties in which why wax jackets are used a lot for the greater outdoors. All the best properties if you're spending a lot of time at the mercy of the elements, as techwear boys like to say. And they're also, more importantly, because there are some fabrics that are more breathable and waterproof than wax jackets like Gore-Tex, for example. But the problem with jackets made out of Gore-Tex is they're not as scratch and abrasion resistant as the wax jackets, which is why if you're going to be around a lot of trees, there might be sharp things that might scratch your jacket. Wax jacket's actually more suitable. So it really depends. So just a quick lesson there. And then there were so many like other things, like odes to other things to do with like the greater outdoors and just, utility. And in interviews, she has said that a lot of her collections, as far as menswear go, are about utility. They are about these things. The last menswear collection, we actually saw like her referencing like workwear and like the tools that men use. And there was like this Fendi work box and toolbox and all that sort of stuff. So this is kind of a continuation of that last show with kind of similar ideas. That's why in this collection you see like boat shoes, once again, kind of history lesson. I'm not sure how many people know, but boat shoes were invented because the person that I've forgotten his name off the top of my head, but the person that invented boat shoes basically was a sailor and he slipped on his deck. So he then decided to invent a pair of shoes with rubber soles that have better traction on the deck of a boat. So that's why they're called boat shoes. That's why they're actually very utilitarian. Even things in the collection like bucket hats. Also, bucket hats are things that were worn initially by like Irish fishermen and farmers to help protect them from the rain and to make sure rain doesn't get in their eyes. Dami, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so first things first, it's very, very, very grey, right? Well, let's use the fashion terms because you know how I like to be inflammatory. So the palette is muted, right? And I like the way that the theme, the way that the conversation that we had has now bled into what Fendi is doing because we're talking about workwear, we're talking about technology, we're talking about what men wear, right? And when it comes to, in quotes, the great outdoors, one trend that I've been seeing outside of this is that there's a massive trend, especially amongst the rich, of going outside and exploring and seeing the great outdoors, not just backpacking, but living like you're working class, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain ways and certain things that people like to do. So she it's still within the stealth wealth category or the quiet luxury category, but then she took it a step further and then invented a kind of play on what would be the explorative person that Fendi is. Because let's be honest, like if I'm wearing Fendi personally, I'm still a city person, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily care about going exploring the great outdoors. However, it's nice to have the fantasy there, right? But when it comes to looking at the silhouettes, looking at the cuts, and the collaborations as well, right? Before I go to silhouettes and cuts, the collaborations. So there's
Yeah,
Violet,
that's an
which is
interesting collaborations.
on the runway. So state of the art Fendi X Violet. I hope I'm saying that right. Mania portable speaker wrapped in an FS
Yeah,
case
DVLA.
and yeah, DVA. All right, cool. Yeah, and then and it's all of that stuff. And then there's Mad Architects, right? And then they made the shoes. So there's what's it called? Marco
And
Architects, founding
the
partner.
peekaboo bags.
Mars no Yan Song. That's I don't know why
Yeah,
I
my
thought
young song.
I don't know why I thought myself saying that, but yeah, like and all of that stuff. So they made the sneakers, they made the peekaboo bag, great. So it was like one of these things in terms of when you look at that. So that's the lunchbox, that's a shoe, and personally, speakers is very modern. However, when it comes to the men in particular, that this collection is emulating, there are certain things that you want, right? So you want something that's waterproof, you want something that wicks sweat, you want something that's made out of great wool, you want something that's made out of that's got great technology within it. And in terms of all of these things, when it comes to making the, let's say, the herringbone, the poppy tooth, the twill, so the twill type of fabric, and just all of the things that allow great suiting or menswear to be menswear, those little details is in there. And in quotes, it can be considered luxurious because someone has taken the time to detail it in that way. And that's one of the main things that I want. One of my main points is that they have made the act of using the right materials luxury again. Because when you go to the high street version of all of these things, they look the part.
but
Like
they
if you go
don't
to
have
Zara, they don't have
yeah.
it. They're not really waxed like that. They don't actually, they're not made like
They
that.
don't have
And
the wax, they don't have the Gore-Tex, they don't have
don't have any of that type of stuff,
the
right?
aesthetic without the utility.
Exactly. So it's all appeal and no reality. And this is delivering in part, not just now the vision, like I was talking about earlier, or the aspiration, but now it's like it's delivering the reality in terms of what luxury actually is, in terms of I can have a great quality thing that looks exactly the way it's supposed to be made, because she is emulating what the lives of these men that like to explore the great outdoors. And I see it quite frequently now, like with my friends that are of a different ilk, that
Yeah.
they're climbing the mountains in Scotland. They're going to just patrol a forest, like just go around in the forest, wear Wellington boots, and kick up some mud and do all of these things. They're gonna go fishing and do all of these things. So like having these people emulate those people, and then go in and then Sylvia just discerning that, which is mad in and of itself, because this is such a small sector of men, and like, well, men and women, but it's such a small sector of men considering we're talking about menswear. It's like, it's interesting that she picked up on that. And
Yeah, I
it's
think, do
quite,
you know what's
yeah.
actually interesting also is that it's in some respects is fantasy, because part of it is very technical and it is actually very utilitarian, but then some of it is like, for example, some of the Wellington shaped boots actually made with leather, because obviously Fendi is still about leather craftsmanship and things like that. And since they can't really use real fur anymore, they've gone away from that. So now there's just a bigger focus on the leather. Leather is not the best material to use for a Wellington boot if you're actually going to be wearing that to climb mountains or to be in the Scottish Highlands, right? But it's a mixture of, okay, this is for utility, and then also using utility as a reference for aesthetic, in terms of, let's say, still making Wellington boots because it's an ode to utility, but then using fur, fake fur, or then using, leather, which are not materials that are actually the best for those things.
Yeah, so it's like and just to wrap up, the characters and now deliver in terms of design, because I actually really do enjoy the collection, like just visually, right? And just the way that the men are wearing like the clothes and the aesthetic in and of itself is something that I'm appealed to. And you've got the red, see, look at the red jacket right there. The red jacket in that's very in season right now is like it was just one of those things in it. So it's like you kind of have to but everything is great. Well, I can talk about the silhouette and the car afterwards, but yeah, what did you think though?
No, it's interesting. Even like, I think in the show notes, I said I was going to read the show notes, but then in second thoughts, maybe not, because Jesus. When I clip it and I edit it, what I'll do is I'll put the show notes on the screen for people to pause and read, and then you'll have all the information you need there. But basically, in the show notes, there was an ode to the fact that the greater outdoors in the UK is kind of like associated with like the Scottish Highlands and stuff like that. So that's why you have a lot of the prints being tartan, for example. It's a reference to that too. So it is kind of interesting, because I think she's kind of followed the same theme for a few seasons in terms of this focus on utility, but she's doing them in such different ways. Like I said, the last one was about workwear mainly, which was kind of interesting. So yeah, all in all, it's really interesting. The collabs are really, really nice. I think when it comes to Silvia Venturini Fendi's menswear collections, I look at the accessories specifically a lot too, because that is her specialty. And that is kind of what a lot of people look to her for doing. Obviously, those are like some close-ups of the speakers. But But yeah, it's the bags were just sensational. The siesta bag is really interesting. I think it's almost like it's nice, but it's huge. It's like, geez, imagine like carrying that around like that all day long.
Yeah.
Your arms would hurt.
Yeah, like one thing that I liked is like, well, this is the thing. I've highly focused on the utility aspect, but then there's also the casual day to day aspect of the guy that lives in Abergavenny, that is, there's a little bit of an altitude over there, and they want to look stylish, they're chill and all of these other things, right? And then you got the cardigans, you got the crop sweaters, you got the, like, what's it, Bermuda trousers with the way, oh, that's even the look that I was looking at, the Bermuda trousers, all of these other things. It was, and like the long shorts, I find that to be valuable, especially when you were talking about the way that she's transformed it and turned it in a way. Yeah, like I was really intrigued by that, honestly.
Yeah, it's it's just interesting. I mean, like I said, it's a mixture of utility for actual utility's sake, and then a mixture of using our understanding of associations with utility, like, oh, Wellington boots are worn by farmers, or people wear Wellington boots because they don't want their feet to be wet, but then she's making them in leather and like fur, and your feet are just gonna get wet, or your leather's gonna get destroyed.
Yeah. Or it's gonna get nasty, depending on what type of leather.
Which shows that it's utility aesthetic. Well, not all of it, because some of it is actually functional, but some of it is like utility aesthetic for the stylish person who, like, because if you think of who is the Fendi customer, they're most likely not wearing Fendi to, climb the French Alps or whatever, to go on expeditions on the French Alps. So she's kind of still designing for the customer base of Fendi while still being able to reference certain things, which I find more interesting.
Shout out to the scammers, though. Yeah, because I
Shout
wonder
out to
what
the
they're
what?
gonna do. The scammers. I wonder what they're gonna do when they don't have the, Fendi shirt with Fendi all over it, fam. F is for fraud in their balls. But yeah. Like Pastor Kobe. F is for fraud. But no, man. Shout out to Silvia. But yeah. Like,
guys in the chat, what did you guys think about the collection? We're still because we're gonna look at close-ups, because really that's where you're gonna get a sense of the accessories, because I really want to show you guys the accessories, because that is Silvia's like specialty.
Some of these guys are dressing like grannies as well. Or should I say, some of them are styled like grannies, which is something interesting that I found in the collection.
Also, Gail Mibson brought up a really strong point about one of the reasons people don't like wearing wax jackets is because they smell terrible. That's definitely true. You have to care for wax jackets with a bit more care, than normal jackets, because the wax, does get stinky very fast.
Yeah, you can't air it out the same way. So yeah, which is interesting. But yeah, are we calling it the pillow bag now? That's jokes.
Yeah, the siesta bags.
I thought it was called the siesta bag because, like, if you were at a party or a rave and you had that bag, you can just sleep on it, and then between 2:30 and have a quick nap, and then you carry on with your siesta. That bag. So yeah, that's what I call it.
If you sleep on a siesta bag, it's gonna get stolen. Don't forget how much the siesta bag costs.
That's jokes.
You're gonna wake up with nothing on your head, just the hard floor.
I'm sure they reference some soil, some like sedimentary.
So I know you have to clean the inliner, but people have no time for that. Yeah. Like they're high maintenance. They're definitely high maintenance.
So no, like I'm looking at the designs, the cuts, because there are some looks where it's like there's guys dressed in like almost workwear, like fishermen or Bowen type of stick, and then there's looks where guys are dressed like grannies and stuff like that, and
yeah,
I find the contrast quite humorous actually, because even the collars are like sweaters that women in the 40s or is it the 60s? Women from the 40s, so women in the 60s used to wear. So yeah, no, I think it's quite cool.
Young Reparation said it does feel a bit elderly and not in a posh anyway. Interesting.
Wait, Young Reparation.
Yeah, it's a very funny name. Yeah, these are some of the looks in collaboration with Mad.
Yeah, Mad.
So they did footwear and they also worked on a few like peekaboo design bags. So these are the designs. They're so cool. So cool. Like the bags are so interesting. And there were other like designs in the collection. Some in collaboration, some not in collaboration are also just as interesting. You have these like sling back backpacks. They're styled a certain way. Here are your siesta bags, aka the pillow bags. Someone say a Dyson collab. You have your tote bags with your fur Fendi coffee. You've got everything. You've even got the collaboration between DVLA and Fendi. They worked on making a Bluetooth portable speaker. It's funny because DVLA, they make some of the most expensive portable Bluetooth speakers on the market anyway. So I wonder how much it's going to cost now that there's a collaboration with Fendi. It's like luxury speakers meets luxury clothing meets a super, super unattainable price.
Yeah, you did say that you disliked when, luxury meets luxury and it goes to an astronomical price. How much do you think the LV grills are going to be? If that's going to be
I have
something.
no idea. Like, no idea. Too expensive. That's how much it's going to be. We've got some fur baguette bags.
What type
No,
of
it's
fur?
just... Well, it's not going to be raw fur, well, I'm guessing, because I feel like they've ditched that, no?
Yeah.
But yeah, the accessories, like bags like this.
Yeah, no, the accessories are hard. But that's not really saying much because Fendi menswear accessories are always hard, so it's kind of interesting.
Facts.
Sorry about
Let me
that.
just get some detailed shots. Where do you think let's say across the fashion market, where do you think Fendi sits?
Menswear.
Yeah.
Menswear. I think it's competing with Dunhill. That's funny.
Really?
That's funny. Yeah, it's competing with all. Like, if you look at it, that's like it's competing with them. Like in terms of,
Dunhill?
yeah. Let me look at Dunhill again. Dunhill. I'm sure Dunhill. I saw Dunhill collection recently.
But price point wise,
oh
though,
no,
they
not price
are
point.
very...
Not price point, bro.
Okay, because I was like,
look, yeah,
if I'm thinking of the market...
They're luxury. They're like Fendi's luxury. It's not necessarily fashion, is it? It's not. It's not like I couldn't treat Fendi like Dior, even though Dior is trying to get like compete with Chanel at this point.
Oh no, 100%, and that even goes down to like the heritage of what Fendi is anyway. It's just kind of like, once again, that's why the way I judge different brands is based on like what their target audience is and actually what they're going for. Because Fendi does have more of a focus on their luxury goods because that is what its focus is. It's not really more of a like fashion brand. More people care about Fendi luxury goods than they care about Fendi clothes, for example. But if you go to a brand like Balenciaga, people care just as much about the clothes as the accessories, even though the clothes might not sell as much as the accessories. But people talk about the clothes very deeply. And that's because if you think of... Yeah, and if you think of the heritage of the brand, it's because you have someone like Cristobal Balenciaga, who was a couturier, who was known for clothes, not anything else. So there's always going to be that understanding that, okay, when we look at Balenciaga, there's a focus on the clothing. And from the designers too, when they design, they think about that too.
Yeah. So like I'm looking at it and it's like because I'm looking at the Grey Outdoors collection, like pieces actually, because I'm looking particularly at those pieces and I'm thinking about where they will sit. So I do see some Japanese consumers. I'd be forgetting the name of Japanese brands so much because they have some interesting names, to say the least. But yeah, some of these looks are reminiscent of that for me. So I do see like the East Asian market like kind of adopting this, and then when it comes to everything else, like especially like the workwear specifically, right? So, and then in terms of the accessories, I'm quite intrigued to see what guys buy the accessories. I actually think it's going to be finance bros. I actually think it's going to be done.
You think finance bros are going to buy these like especially intricate peekaboo bags?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
That's a lunchbox. That's first of all a lunchbox.
You said the peekaboo bag's a lunchbox.
Yes. For man, like that size and that depth is a lunchbox. You put a sandwich in there and you put a little 250ml drink in there. You put your You put your meal deal. You put your meal deal in that bag. That's
what your little Tesco sandwich with a bottle of Coke and a pack of crisps, pack of Walkers.
Exactly, man. Yeah, man. Your tuna melts. Like that's what the bag is used for. But like
couple baby bells in there.
This bag is done, so I can only really see it like not only, but like where my
this bag I can see that this bag like the collab with Mad, especially this one that doesn't have like the yellow on it. I can 100% see like those kind of men wearing that.
Yeah, like I see it like the thing is it's not necessarily positioned. The accessories aren't positioned with the right type of clothes to capture the creative guys market, the rich ones anyways. So it's gonna be the stylish about wealthy ones. And the stylish but wealthy ones think about like the way the mind works is like they think about what's expensive, or should I say what's deemed luxury. And then when you look at let's say East Asian influencer, the quant guy is gonna look at the East Asian influencer, see them wearing the Fendi, and then go to the Fendi bags, and then see that I may not be able to dress like him, but I can get this bag, and that's just kind of how I imagine it'll go in. But I don't know whether I'm right.
No, I agree. Shout out to AZ. I'm a big fan of his YouTube channel, by the way. Everyone subscribe to AZ. He's like, I don't even know how to describe his channel because he talks about literally everything from fashion to like general news stories to everything. But it's like my guilty pleasure because he has like a messed up sleeping schedule similar to mine. So he's just out here live streaming at like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning and then going to the gym after. And I'm like, damn, this guy's literally living on my schedule. But yeah, Pret chicken and avocado sub only.
Yes. Yeah. It's cheeky.
Very, very cheeky, mate. Very, very cheeky. But yeah, I think that's all there is to the Fendi show. This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind-the-scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club, where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.